The nerve was called the prime chord. Every fighter in Valdrin knew the name. It ran from the base of the skull to the center of the chest, and it was the one thing the resonance registry couldn't manufacture, couldn't replicate, couldn't give you with training or money or a decade of sacrifice. You were either born with a prime chord that sang, or you weren't. And if you had one, if yours hummed at the frequency the scanners loved, you were somebody. You had a rating. You had a rank. You had a life that meant something in a city built entirely on the idea that your body was your ledger. Dale Vaughn's prime chord had hummed at 97.4 for 11 years. He'd been #1 on the resonance registry for 6 of them, unbeaten in the circuit for 4. The kind of fighter who made the arena go quiet just by walking through the gate, not because he was loud, not because he performed, but because every person in those seats understood, without needing to be told, that they were watching someone who existed at the edge of what a human being was supposed to be able to do. That was before the match against Kale Mast. It wasn't even supposed to be a real fight, an exhibition, a showcase. The circuit's marketing arm had built the whole card around the rivalry. Dale Vaughn, the reigning #1, against his former teammate and current #2, the man who'd spent 3 years in Dale's shadow and smiled in every photograph while doing it. The crowd packed every tier of the Valdrin Grand Arena. Lyra was in the front row, the way she always was, the silver ring on her finger catching the light. Dale doesn't remember the exact moment it happened. He remembers the collision, a clinch break, the sharp torque of a shoulder throw, the sound his neck made when the landing went wrong. He remembers the floor. He remembers the silence before the medical team reached him. He doesn't remember much after that. What he learns later, in a hospital room that smells like recycled air and antiseptic, is that the prime chord doesn't heal. That's the thing no one tells you when you're young and rated and walking on top of the world. The thing the registry never puts on its orientation materials. The nerve can be compressed, it can be severed, and when it goes, your resonance doesn't drop, it doesn't taper. It falls straight off a cliff and hits 0, and the scanner that reads you next comes back with a single word: null. Soren Breck delivers the registry notification in person. Dale's manager for 9 years. The man who'd booked his first professional bout when Dale was 17 and still didn't know how to talk to sponsors. Soren sets the tablet on the hospital tray, taps the file open, and doesn't quite meet Dale's eyes. The board has no choice, Soren says. A null rating is non-competitive by statute. Your license is suspended pending review, and given the scan results, the review is going to find what the scan found. I'm sorry, Dale. I've already started the paperwork. Dale looks at the number on the screen. 0.0. Not a typo. Not a calibration error. The scanners in this city hadn't produced a 0.0 in 11 years. Not since the last fighter who'd suffered a full prime chord severance. And that man had never competed again. Soren leaves. A nurse comes and goes. The room gets dark. Lyra comes on the 4th day. She doesn't wear the ring. She doesn't say much, and what she does say, Dale doesn't need explained. He's read the circuit news on his phone at 2 a.m. for 3 nights straight. He already knows that Kale visited her the day after the injury. He already knows that the #1 ranking, the one the registry holds vacant for 30 days in case of medical appeal, was formally reassigned to Kale Mast on day 28. He already knows that Kale's new management team released a statement calling it a new era for the Valdrin circuit. Lyra says she's sorry. She means it. That's almost worse. She leaves. Dale lies in the dark for a long time. And then, and this is the part that nobody sees, nobody logs, nobody celebrates, he stops fighting it. Not because he's given up, not because the grief isn't real, or because the anger isn't a physical thing sitting in the middle of his chest. He stops fighting it because something in him, some old cold instinct that won 11 straight title bouts, tells him to be still. He goes home to the apartment the registry stipend covers for another 60 days. He trains. Not circuit training, not drills, just movement, just his body learning to exist at 0.0 without apologizing for it. He eats. He sleeps. He does not appeal. He does not call Soren. He does not reach out to the circuit, to sponsors, to anyone who used to pick up on the first ring. He counts the days. Not obsessively, just the way you count something that matters. On day 100, nothing happens. On day 200, nothing happens. On day 300, there is a sensation he has no words for. Not pain, not warmth, something quieter than both. Like pressure that has been building in a sealed room and has just found the outline of a door. On day 364, he sleeps 12 hours and wakes up at 4 a.m., completely certain that tomorrow is the day. He doesn't know why, he just knows. Day 365. The system speaks at 6:03 in the morning. There is no screen, no scanner, no registry terminal in his apartment. The notification comes the way a frequency comes, not heard so much as felt, vibrating somewhere in the architecture of his chest, where the prime chord used to sing. Dale sits on the edge of his bed for a long time. Then he stands up, pulls on his black compression gear, and goes to find a gym that will let an unregistered fighter through the door. The first bout he takes is a back alley bracket match in the Caldron district, the kind of unofficial card the registry looks the other way on, because the fighters involved aren't worth pursuing. His opponent is a B rank who hasn't lost in 14 months, and who looks at Dale's blank registration card with open contempt. The fight lasts 40 seconds. Not because Dale is reckless, because Sovereign Prime, on release, doesn't operate the way resonance normally does. Normal resonance is a ceiling. You build to it, you train to it, your output peaks somewhere near your rating and stays there. What Dale carries is not a ceiling, it is a floor. And every time he takes damage, every time the pressure of contact is applied, the class compounds. The B rank hits him twice before Dale ends it. Each hit feeds the yield, each yield compounds the next. By the time the B rank hits the mat, Dale's output has already recalculated twice. Word travels. It always does in Valdrin, in the circuits within the circuit, the underground brackets where the registry doesn't reach, the unregistered fighter. Silver-white hair, doesn't speak, doesn't warm up, doesn't lose. He fights 12 bouts in 6 weeks, not rushing, not performing, just working through the ranked tier systematically, each win pulling him into a higher bracket by reputation alone, because the registry can't officially log his results. He doesn't have a rating. The scanners that try to read him in the back rooms of underground arenas return errors. One of them displays 3 question marks and then shuts off. On the 7th week, the official circuit calls. Not Soren. Soren knows better. It's a junior rep from the registry board, a young man with a tight collar and a clipboard who finds Dale at the entrance to a Cauldron gym at 6 in the morning and says, with genuine discomfort, that the board is prepared to discuss a provisional re-registration. Dale looks at him for a moment. Tell the board I'll fight 1 registered bout, Dale says. Kale Mast, main card, Valdrin Grand Arena. The rep blinks. Mr. Mast is the current. I know what he is, Dale says. Tell them. The circuit makes it happen in 11 days. They don't have a choice. The underground bracket results are leaking. The scan errors are a story. And every analyst who's tried to project Dale's current output has come back with a number the modeling software won't validate. The board frames it as a special exhibition. The marketing arm, the same one that built the original rivalry card 3 years ago, goes to work immediately. The night of the bout, the Valdrin Grand Arena is full. Lyra is in the stands. 3rd tier, not the front row. Dale sees her when he walks through the gate, not because he's looking, but because he knows exactly where she is without needing to look. That's the kind of thing you carry. He doesn't stop walking. Kale is already in the arena when Dale arrives. 3 years have been good to Kale. He's filled out, sharpened, moved into the version of himself he always wanted to be. The current hashtag, 1, 11 straight title defenses, rated at 94.1, the highest recorded resonance in the circuit's history, according to the registry's public file. He stands across the arena floor with the practiced calm of someone who has never seriously doubted the outcome of anything in his adult life. He looks at Dale the way you look at something you've already processed. You should have stayed gone, Kale says, quiet enough that the broadcast mics don't catch it. Dale doesn't answer. The signal fires. What happens next is not a fight in any sense the crowd is prepared for. Kale moves first, the same way he always moves, precise and efficient. The 94.1 behind every strike, like a wall that doesn't ask permission. He hits Dale in the first exchange. Clean, hard, The kind of hit that ends bouts against other S-rank fighters before the crowd has settled into their seats. Dale takes it. And Sovereign Prime compounds. The second exchange is different. Not faster, exactly. More like the weight of the space between them has changed. Kale throws again. Dale lets it land, reads the force, and returns it at a yield that the arena's resonance monitoring system renders as a solid red bar at the top of its scale, before the display simply stops updating. Kale stumbles. First time in 3 years. The crowd goes very quiet. He recovers. Resets. The 94.1 doesn't lie. He's the finest conventional fighter in the circuit's history, and he knows it. He shifts his approach, looking for the angle, looking for the way through the thing standing across from him that his 10 years of experience say should not be possible. There is no angle. Every time contact is made, the yield recalculates. Every time the yield recalculates, the gap widens. Dale isn't performing. He isn't punishing. He is simply the endpoint of 365 days of accumulated pressure, meeting the man who made that pressure necessary. And the math is one-directional. By the third exchange, the monitoring system has posted a single line of text at the bottom of every display screen in the arena. Resonance rating. The fourth exchange ends it. Not a dramatic finish. Not a performance. A single controlled output. Measured, deliberate. The last decimal of a very long calculation. And Kale Mast goes down. He doesn't stay down. He's too good for that. Too proud. Too much of what he is. He gets his hands under him. He gets one knee up. He looks across the arena floor at Dale, who has not moved, who is standing exactly where he was. Silver white hair, black compression gear, the cold expression of someone collecting what's owed. And Kale Mast, the current #1, the man who took the rank and the ring and 11 title defenses, lowers his other knee to the mat. The arena is completely silent. From the third tier, very far away, Lyra watches. The registry board rep who called 11 days ago is already on the floor with a tablet, pulling up the reclassification file. The board has prepared for this. They had to. The monitoring system gave them no other option. He navigates to Dale's file, which still reads 0.0 from the original injury scan, and he taps the reclassification entry. The file updates. Name, Dale Vorn. Former rating, 0.0, null. Current classification, Prime Sovereign / above measurement. Registry note, no ceiling recorded. No precedent on file. The rep holds the tablet up, starts to speak. Dale is already walking toward the exit. Not away from anything. Not fleeing the moment, or the weight of it, or the 3 years of silence that preceded it. He just has no interest in the ceremony. The announcement, the reclassification, the cameras swinging to catch the look on his face. None of it is the point. The point was the 365 days of being still, when everything in him wanted to move. The point was, the compound yield no one knew was building. The point was the floor of the arena behind him, where the current #1 has 2 knees on the mat, and cannot explain to any scanner, any analyst, or any person in his life what just happened. Dale walks through the gate. The city is dark and cold and ordinary, the way it always is after midnight, and he is, for the first time in 3 years, exactly where he is supposed to be. The registry notification arrives on his phone at 12:47 a.m. He reads it once. Then he puts his phone in his pocket and keeps walking.